And there's nothing worse than hanging around people who do not want to change, right? There's nothing worse than hanging around people who do not want to change. Even worse is hanging around people who don't want to change, who also don't want you to change. And this is a big thing that you'll find even with people. They don't realize that they're doing it, that they don't realize that this is part of their thinking process. How you doing? Welcome to another video. Today's video I'm going to talk about stopping drinking alcohol is a fantastic way of reevaluating some of your friendships. This is definitely a hard thing to do. It's definitely something that has given me more than one restless night, let's say, because a lot of your friendships, a lot of my friendships, they're sort of the backbone of life, really. That socializing and being with other people, and I think reevaluating some of the friendships, especially those that are close to you. I think it's an important thing to do, but it's also something which is going to give you a lot of pressure and a lot of anxiety, I suppose. These are 100 videos that we're doing in 100 days, so the main goal is to try and get as many people to stop drinking alcohol as possible between December and March. And if you can share this video, if you can like and subscribe, if you haven't subscribed, then it's really going to help us out. So let's get on with this. The first thing I'll say to you is that stopping drinking alcohol is really, like I say, it's a great opportunity for so many different things in your life. But one of the pressures that I think that you're going to have as a person who stops drinking alcohol is other people. It's one of the biggest pressures that you're going to find. And there's nothing worse than hanging around people who do not want to change, right? There's nothing worse than hanging around people who do not want to change. Even worse is hanging around people who don't want to change, who also don't want you to change. And this is a big thing that you'll find even with people. They don't realize that they're doing it, that they don't realize that this is part of their thinking process. But it is, it's a subconscious thing that happens. People can sabotage you or attempt to sabotage you in a very subconscious way. They don't know they're doing it, like I said. But that's for you, and you have to look at your perspective in this. You want to get to a certain point of your life. You want to get to that best possible version of yourself. You've got to start thinking about these things and the influence of other people and how they are influencing you in the long term, how they're influencing your thoughts, and by dint your decisions and your choices, right? And then your actions. So one of the things that I have to say at the beginning is that I changed country a year before I stopped this. So a lot of that decision making process was taken out of my hands by that one decision. So I drank here for a year before I stopped drinking, and I didn't get to the same level of friendships with anyone. So I had my family here that were sort of the backbone of my socializing, and they didn't drink that much, so it was a different dynamic with that. So I've gone back to Ireland, and I've met up with some of my old friends in the meantime, and some of those that's been difficult, but not difficult for me in terms of being able to of them encouraging me to drink, but more seeing them after so many years and how alcohol has affected some of those people, or just seeing, one particular guy that I sort of, every time we go over to Ireland I meet up with him, and it's that he's in the same routine and he's never coming out of that routine, and that's his life and he's happy enough with that, but that's not something that I want to do. A lot of the times when you're stopping drinking alcohol, most of the time when you're stopping drinking alcohol, some of the things in your life, it's about resetting parts of what you're doing, resetting values, that kind of thing. I read a lot of history, and one of the things I've noticed throughout history is that sometimes it takes a revolution or a country has to disappear almost, right? A civilization has to disappear before it's allowed to have a reset, or before a reset can take place. I mean, if you look at the current state in a lot of countries, there is so much regulation, and one regulation gets piled on top of another regulation, one law gets piled up on top of another one, and once the law is there, once the regulation is there, it's very difficult to get rid of them, and so you've just got this gradually expanding mess. And I think that also happens on an individual level, that before I stopped drinking, it's going back to what I was saying about my mate. He does the same thing over and over and over again. He was recently diagnosed with a certain cancer. I'm not going to say what it was, because he'll know who I'm talking about then if he ever sees these videos. But that reset him on a certain level, and that can be something that happens to you that really forces you into a reset. And I think it's, stopping drinking alcohol can be a huge sort of dividing line, a bright line, what we call bright lines. We talk about this a lot in the program, where stopping drinking alcohol, moderation is not a bright line. It's something which, what is moderation? How much are you going to moderate? How many times are you going to moderate? That kind of thing. So there's no definitive, specific idea. Whereas stopping drinking alcohol is, this is before I stop drinking alcohol, and this is after, and there's a big bright line there. There's a dividing line between one part of your life and the next, and you know exactly what you've got to do to cross that. And sometimes you have to look at your friendships from the perspective of, the easiest way to do this is to look at it from the perspective of, are my friends there because alcohol is the one commonality? This is the one thing that we have in common. And if that is the one thing that you have in common, and you take alcohol out of the equation, then you've got nothing else in common. The friendship is going to die. There's just no other way of saying that. And it might sound harsh, but it's the truth. One way or another, that's going to disappear. You'll find a lot of your relationships will disappear because you're heading off on different directions, and it's a natural part of life, right? So it's just that. Think about that. Think about stopping drinking alcohol, and when you do stop that, you've got the opportunity to reset so much about your life. And one of the most crucial ones is in this area of deciding which friends you're going to keep, and it is your decision. Don't let that decision be taken out of your hands. And like I said, this is a tough thing to do. It's probably one of the toughest things that you're going to do. It's not these are not easy decisions to make, but they're essential decisions that you have to make if you want to get to that best possible version of yourself. And think about it, when one of the things that we used to do in forestry was we'd thin out the trees. So we go into a plot of land and we cut out trees that were a bit wonky, that weren't growing straight, that had too many knots in them, that were thin. There was certain amounts of trees that you cut out, and I always felt bad about it. You're cutting out a living tree, but the reason why they do this is because you give the other trees room to grow. You give the better trees room to grow, because the end product of what you're trying to do in a forest is to harvest the timber, for whatever reason. But you want good solid timber. The better timber you've got, the better price you're going to get. And that's really how you have to look at your life. You've got to thin out the people in your life, and really focus your mind and concentrate your energies on those people who are going to help you to get to that best possible version of yourself. And the more you do this, the more you thin out your own life, the more you head towards the best possible version of yourself, the better that is going to be for the other people that are in your life. The people who are closest to you, the friends that you have, the family that you have, they're going to benefit from that as well. So you have to think about that from that perspective. When I was drinking, and I'm sure you can think along the same lines, my old habit of drinking, and all the other habits that sort of surrounded that, then they're all things that the people in your life suffer from. The people have got nothing to do with your drinking. The people who didn't choose to come into your life. My son, for instance, my partners, my wife, my family, my dad, my sisters and brothers. All of those kind of, they are the ones that to one extent or another are on the receiving end of some of the crap that happens because of the decisions and the behavior, that lifestyle that you're choosing. So if you want help to stop drinking alcohol, we've got the Habits V2 platform. It's www.habitsv2.com. We've got a lot of videos there. We've got daily videos all the way through to a year. Like I said, it's all about trying to get you to that best possible version of yourself. First month is about stopping drinking alcohol, getting away from that. The first 6 months is about sort of gradually turning your life around. It's like trying to turn one of these big oil tankers, right? It takes a while before you can turn it around. You know, stopping drinking alcohol is the first part. Getting rid of the habit and breaking down the habit and building habits that are going to sustain you into the long term. That's the major part that we focus our energies on. And that's towards getting you towards the best possible version of yourself. It's a lifelong journey, right? It's a lifelong journey, and it is all about the journey. It's not about the destination. If you want some more immediate help and free help, we've got our quick start preparation guide. It's over on there's a link down below. Just click on that where it says quick start preparation. Go over to the website, leave your name, leave your email address, and I'll send you the page straight away. There's 8 videos, less than an hour, but it will really help you to get some just perspective on yourself and where you're going, and give you some really helpful tips on taking that first step and getting into alcohol. So if you haven't already signed up for that, please do. You know, like I said, to sum up this video, it sounds cruel sometimes to do what we need to do, you know, to cull some of the friendships and some of the relationships that you've got in your life. But you have to look at this not only from your own perspective, but from the perspective of the people that are around you. You know, my whole reason for living is the ultimate aim, the ultimate goal is contribution. It's what you're contributing to other people in your life, but it's having it from your perspective, enjoying it from your perspective, being an individual in this world, and doing as much as you can as an individual, but also as a contributing factor to the health and welfare of the people around you, right? This is so important. So you have to look at it from who is going to benefit from this, who's going to benefit from you not stopping drinking alcohol, but most importantly, who is going to benefit from you stopping drinking alcohol. And you've got to think about that in terms of the friendships and relationships that you get rid of. So I hope you got something out of that video today. I'm Kevin O'Hara for Habits V2. We will see you in the next video. Take care of yourself. Onwards and upwards.